What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now, as far as the news goes, I just been seeing a lot of crap about the whole Russell Brand situation. I never did really watch him. I think I seen him in a couple of movies or whatever. That's about it. I'm not a big fan or whatever of his, you know. But the whole thing with the UK government coming after him and shit, which has been proven, it's just crazy. You know, the allegations against him from women that are from 20 years ago. It's obviously an attack to remove him for whatever reason. Probably because, you know, he's more a right-wing commentary, but whatever. That's how I feel about that. You know, same thing with the whole, you know, they're still trying to come after Trump, but they're fucking it all up, and it's just going to backfire on them, and they're going to find out the hard way. Democrats. The Democrat Party is basically the Socialist and Communist Party. They want to take away your rights. So, you know, if you vote for them, you're dumb. Plain and simple. You're an idiot. I don't care for parties. I don't really care all that much for politics. But it's not hard to see the fucking BS that the Democrats are pulling. You won't have any rights left when they're done if you keep voting them in. But whatever, that's your name. What I really want to talk to you about is I just got done watching the final season, or season 3 of Stargirl. I've been watching it just because it's really cheesy, and I've watched it for you guys to give you a heads up. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Stargirl and you intend to watch it for whatever reason, I mean, good luck with that, because it's just, I forced myself to watch the final season. I wasn't going to do it, but I went in and did it. Only because I like Luke Wilson. I'm just putting it out there. I think he's a great actor. I actually like him better than Owen. And I just, you know, they did him wrong on this show. You know, his character, but whatever. So the whole entire show is about a girl who finds this, you know, the staff of Starman, a member of the Justice Society of America, the JSA. Now, why they can't just, like any of the studios, can't do the, you know, the origin story? Why can't they go off the comics and do the original story, which most people don't know, even those who read comic books all the time? Like, I've read a shit ton of comics, but I don't know the original story. I don't know how the JSA was formed or anything like that, you know. You know, you hear bits and pieces about it, but I've never read the original comic, how they first started. You know, most people don't. Almost anyone today definitely doesn't know the original story. So you have these writers, you fucking fucking idiot, dumbass, freaking writers. You have the resource material. Do the story, the original story, which made these characters popular in the first place. I don't get it why they don't do that. No, they have to rewrite everything and put their own spin on it, and then it's just dumb. They shit all over the original characters. It's so dumb. But anyways, I digress. Back to the main story. So with this show, like I said, you have this girl who finds the Cosmos staff, or whatever the fuck it's called, and she tries to take up the mantle of Starman. The JSA hasn't been heard from in a long time. That's because supposedly they got killed by the... Again, they're not called the ISA. They never were. They just started that recently in the new comics. The Injustice Society. No, they were never called that from the beginning. Go look it up. I don't remember their original name, but it wasn't Injustice Society. So dumb. Again, they rewrite everything all the time. Anyways, supposedly they were killed off by, you know, a Legion of Doom style fucking gang. You know, supervillains that teamed up and went after them. Anyways, you know, this is basically based off of her story, Stargirl story. Now, the show started off right off the bat. She's being super bossy. This 14, 15, 60-year-old is being super bossy because she finds the staff and she thinks she's Miss Little Badass. And she's always right and everybody else is wrong. And they need to listen to her and do what she says. And it's pretty much consistently stays that way through the entire series. I mean, I could do a little clip where everyone's constantly going, Courtney was right. Courtney was right. Yep, she's right. Courtney's right. They say it a bajillion times through the entire series. When 98% of the time she's ignorant. She don't know what she's doing. She can't take actual criticism or advice. You know, she's Miss Girl Power. You know, she can do anything. It's just dumb. But anyways, and they crap on Luke Wilson's character. You know, they emancipate that dude. And he's the one leading them. It makes no sense. Anyways, in this third season, Courtney's all like, oh, we need to make everybody buddies and friends now, you know, all the enemies. So that's what they're doing through the whole season. They're trying to make all the enemies of the ISA friends, all the villains. I kind of half-ass get the Shade being, she's not really friends. You know, he just helps every now and then. I get that. That's fine with me. Because it's in the comics, you know, just like Solomon Grundy. Sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. You know, he's in the comics that way. I get all that. That's fine with me. And it kind of makes sense when they introduce him trying to help out the little brother of the original Green Lantern, his son or whatever, because he has similar powers. But anyways, that's the only one that really made sense. The rest of them I didn't get. I actually kind of started liking the Crocs towards the end until they killed them off. I was like, oh, y'all fucking dicks, you know, they were the best ones. the villains, you know, that were on the show regularly. But anyways, regardless, uh, of course, Icicle comes back, and then they're all like, well, he must be the bad guy, which he is, but he's got some help. Apparently, no one dies. Dragon King's back. He takes over the albino gorilla, which is actually the ultimate humanite, which is another bad guy of the JSA. Apparently, he swapped brains. Not only the Dragon King got his old body, and the ultimate humanite went and switched brains with Starman's body. So the entire season, you're thinking, you know, this is Starman. It's not. It's the ultimate humanite, supposedly. Anyway, he's screwing with the JSA. Causes all kinds of problems till they figure it out at the end. They wrap it all up. Now, another thing that irritates me is, like, I guarantee you, if they could have done it, they would have gone ahead and done it. They would have made the whole new teeny bopper team of the JSA all girls. Because that's literally what they did. Like, all the guys, they're all replaced by girls. Except for the Hourman kid, you know. The rest of them are all girls. And they're supposed to be guys, not girls. So, you know, a lot of feminism in this show. But it's the CW. What do you expect? They're all about that leftist political feminism crap. Anyways, they wrap it all up. They stop Icicle and the Ultimate Humanite and the Dragon King from their freaking insane plan to take over the world. It's always, let's take over the world. They did the same thing pretty much with the villains. Like all the new generation, the villains, pretty much almost all of them were girls throughout the entire series. Same thing. When they're supposed to be guys. Again, they were trying to replace them all with girl power. Fuck out of here with that stupid nonsense. But anyways, they stop Icicle. Courtney falls for his son. They're like, and his son and her are like, oh, lovey-dovey BS, and it's just, it's honky. It's really honky and awkward looking because it don't fit. They don't gel, right? At the end, you see Artemis, which is the Crocs kid. Now, she don't have any superpowers. None. So why is she a member of the JSA? That makes no sense to me. Literally, her bringing up was her playing sports. That's it. Literally it. She's had no training or anything. But yet, she's like super strong. You know, can throw weights through walls and shit. And I'm like, what the... This is the dumbest shit. She can't... Oh my god, this little teeny bopper little girl, is supposed to be like super strong with no superpowers. Blah, blah, blah. You know, it made no sense. But anyways, she kills Icicle to get revenge on him killing her parents. And finally, they bring back Solomon Grundy. He had been dead throughout the entire season. And at the end, they wrap it up with, you know, the Flash showing up. Jay Garrett Flash, he shows up and he tells the Shade, you know, Courtney, you know, she's calling all the JSA members. We got a crisis on our hands. and we need your help. You know, he's telling the Shade this, and the Shade's all like, it's never over, and then they leave. And that's the end of the series. If you want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. But I'm telling you, it's all baloney. Whoever wrote this junk, you know, it's just dumb. It doesn't even go with the comics or anything. They've completely rewritten everything. Just because you coin some characters that are in the comic books, but then you change them all and their backgrounds anyway, does not make it part of the JSA. It's baloney. So check it out if you want, if you're into superhero crap. But the CW does some really terrible superhero shows. It's not good. Stargirl is not really good. It's just really cheesy. You know, it reminds me of the Sci-Fi channel when they had really cheesy crap. So 2 thumbs down. Only reason I really watched it was because of Luke Wilson and to do a review for you guys. So you don't have to. It's not worth wasting your time. I'm telling you. Anyways, let's move on to your B-movie reviews. Okay, movie holics. This week is Sci-Fi week. Now, I chose a couple of older post-apocalyptic or dystopian type movies, a couple of those. Now, here's the thing, and most of you probably already know this, but every decade in cinema has their, like, the main genres have their little sub-genre stories that they do quite often during that particular decade. For example, you know, in the 70s, the horror genre, most of their stuff in the 70s was about vampires or satanic cults. You know, that was their big to-go subgenres or whatever of horror. You get what I'm saying. Like in the 80s sci-fi was their subgenre, their main stories, and there's a ton of them, was like post-apocalyptic or dystopian type movies. There's a crap ton of them. Even if you've never heard of a bunch of them, there's a lot of them. Like a lot of your foreign films did it too, like the Italian films and stuff, Canadian films. Lots of post-apocalyptic movies. And then, you know, the 90s, their big thing was, you know, cyborgs, androids, robots, you know. That was the sci-fi subgenre story for them that they focused on. And then you get to the 2000s, you know, and the 2000s was more, and beyond was more like they started getting into all the superhero crap, you know. But you get what I'm saying. Each decade has had their own little, you know, main focus of subgenre story. In the 80s, like I said, it was post-apocalyptic. That's why I did a couple of them. The first one I watched was called Dead End Drive-In. I had heard of this film. It's come across me several times, but I've never actually watched it. It's considered a cult classic, and honestly, after watching it, I don't know why. It is an Australian film. It was done in 1986. It didn't have any worldwide numbers because it went straight to video after it came out of Australia. It only made about 60 grand in Australia. It really didn't do very good. Now, I saw several reviews on like a couple of sites where they left reviews. A lot of them were like praising it and blah blah blah, and they were almost all from Australia. But anyways, they completely, in their reviews, they completely ignored the message that the writer and director was trying to portray in the movie. The entire movie is basically about, you know, how evil socialism and communism and you know, concentration camps or prisons that they use, and they dummy people by making them like living there and blah blah blah. That's how the whole premises of the movie. And yet these people were just like, oh, I just love the music and the you know, the hairstyles and the different pretty colors and blah blah blah. I was like, you people are ignorant. You're dumb. You don't get what the movie's about at all. You know, you were just caught up in the fad at the time. It's dumb. Some people are just dumb. But anyways, so the movie is basically like, you know, a chain of events lead to, you know, like a dystopia or post-apocalyptic event. You know, the world's gone to shit. Australia's pretty much on their own. Crime rates have soared really high because the young, you know, teenagers or whatever are like constantly committing crimes and shit. So the Australian government decides to build these concentration camps, and it focuses on this one in particular, and they're trying to you know, weed out all the undesirables, the teenagers that have gone bad, the criminal element, and they start putting them in this concentration camp. It's made of a old ass drive-in, which made no sense. They're all living out of their cars. They got a bunch of cars. They're living out on these junk cars. They're given vouchers for food. You know, you can only have so much food per week or whatever it is. Once you run out of vouchers, that's it. You're done. You can't have any more food. They're sneaking in drugs to keep them doped up. What else? Just, I don't know. It's just weird, you know. All the teenagers, they all like where they're at. They don't have to work. All their shit's given to them for free. They can be lazy and do whatever the fuck they want, you know. But they never fight. You don't ever see them fight but one scene, and I'll get to that eventually. They threw in a little bit of racism as well. I don't know if they were Indians or, they weren't Aboriginals. I think they were Indians because they were wearing turbans. But they bring in a buttload of Asians. They called them Asians, but it looked like Indians. And they were, oh, we got to have a white power meeting. Us whites can't have these Asians come in here and blah, blah, blah. At the same time, the police are bringing in these truckloads of, cars for them to live in. It's bizarre. A concentration camp and a drive-in. That just is dumb. Anyways, the whole story is you have this one teenager, calls himself Krabs. He gets his brother's car to take this chick out on a date. Now, she's not a bad-looking chick. And, back in the 80s, they may have had some funky styles and shit, but at least the girls dressed, looked good. Even if the hairstyles and the makeup was kind of strange, they still looked good. They knew how to dress. Whereas today, they just, I'm just going to put on some sweatpants and a baggy t-shirt, put my hair in a ponytail. Wear some flip-flops. Gross. But anyways, that's what you get today. Anyways, moving on. The story is he's going to take her to the cinema. So he takes her to this drive-in. Well, he doesn't realize that the drive-in is actually a concentration camp. It's an experiment by the Australian government to see if they can get these teenagers that are committing crimes locked up and then light their prison with socialism, communism. Anyways, the cops steal his wheels, so he can't go anywhere. And instead of just going in and leaving, they got this guy who monitors the whole place, tells him he can't go anywhere, he's got to stay there. That's his home now. Blah, blah. He's like, what? Fuck you, I'm leaving. And then he finds out, that the place is set up like a prison. You got electric fence and everything else, and the cops are patrolling the place all the time. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody has any weapons except for the cops. So he's basically in a prison. He tells the others, including his girlfriend, who's dumber than a box of rocks, and I know, I don't care. There's no way a girl is going to be that stupid. I mean, they could be pretty dumb, some people, but they made his girlfriend like really dumb. Like, why would you leave? We have everything here. Blah, blah, blah. And all the other kids, he talks to teenagers, they don't want to leave either. They think it's paradise there, even though they're living in a shithole. It's crazy. Anyways, there's a big fight towards the end, a gunfight. They're shooting all over the place at him because he's trying to get out. He's the only one who realizes it's a prison and wants out. Just go figure. Anyways, they got machine guns and he's got a little pistol. But yeah, he literally kills all the cops. Just driving around inside this drive-in. It's just like, what? Get the fuck out of here. And then at the end, he steals the tow truck. And one of the trucks that bring in all the vehicles, its ramps are out, and he jumps through it and through a sign at the very end and jumps over this huge wall, and he's escaped, and that's the end of the movie. And I was just, dude, this film was so bad. It was cheesy. I mean, it wasn't so bad you couldn't watch it. It was just bad. It was terrible. I get the message. I get what they were saying. But it was terrible. This movie is not, I would not consider this a cult classic. It was dumb. One of the dumbest movies ever I've ever seen from the 80s. Probably not the dumbest, but one of them. 2 thumbs down. I know there's some people that's going to hate me for that because they think it's a cult classic. I don't care. It was terrible. Terrible. You can't admit that. You're dumb. Okay, moving on. Next film I watched, again, another post-apocalyptic movie. It's called Cherry 2000. It was done in 1987, and it was very limited to certain theaters, and then yanked pretty quickly, and I don't understand why. I only made $14,000 because of that. This stars Melanie Griffith, David Andrews, and Pamela Gidley. Now, Melanie Griffith was okay back then. She wasn't bad looking, but man, Pamela Gidley, man, whew, man, she was hot back then. But anyways, regardless, she's the one who plays the android, the Cherry 2000. She's not in it for very long. She just has a few scenes, like at the beginning and at the very end. And you know, occasional flashback. He has occasional flashbacks of her, but not very often. Once or twice. Again, I don't understand why this was yanked so quickly, and why it only went to limited theaters. I mean, you had some other stars in this film, and decent actors. It made no sense, because it's actually a pretty decent movie. The whole story is David's character. He has an android, Cherry 2000, played by Gidley. She is basically, he considers her his wife. Now, I understand, before we continue on with the story, we are moving in this direction in real life. It won't be long before we have, you know, like these movies that predict, sci-fi movies that were predicting years ago that we would be like having AI and sex robots and all that kind of shit. It's coming to pass here soon. I'd say in another 10, 20 years, it's going to become a reality. They're already talking about the Neuralink, which you can just plug or jack into your freaking brain and live in a reality simulated world and be like a god, you know. The sex industry has already started with the AI crap, and I guarantee you it won't be long before they actually have fully automated androids, realistic ones, that they're selling to people. I mean, if you have looked at any of the videos from Japan, they are this close to making a full-on automaton android realistic females and males. It's coming to pass. It's scary shit. Anyways, like I said, the sex industry, they're ready to go. They want to pump these fuckers out, because it's a race. Whoever gets there first is going to make billions. I guarantee it, because there are men who are going to buy these fucking things. I guarantee it. And don't even get me started on the whole biotech, where they're integrating biological tech together. You know, biology and computer tech together. That's coming close too. They're working on that too. So get ready, it's coming. Anyways, moving on back to the review of the movie. Now, Cherry, she short circuits or whatever. So he goes to get her repaired, but the guy tells her, oh, well, I can't repair the body, but you keep the chip, which has her personality on it. All you have to do is find another body to replace her and stick the chip in, and voila, you have Cherry back, which is Pamela's character. And Sam, which is David's character, he's like, okay, I have to find out one. And the guy tells him about these people called trackers. What trackers do is they go into like the forbidden zones, where people usually don't go, because you got the crazies that live in the wasteland, blah blah blah. They'll kill you. It's very dangerous, and they go in there to the after this post-apocalyptic. So all these buildings have been abandoned. People usually don't go in them, and there's all kinds of stuff left over from the pre-war, World War III, whatever happened. There's still stuff in them. They just been overran by sand, like a desert. Anyways, so he goes to find this guy at the outskirts of, there's few cities left where most of the people are at, and then you have your outskirts. Before I continue on, also take note that the way they do shit is kind of weird. They have, you have this part at the beginning of the movie where it shows him get off work and go out with his buddies, because after she first fries, and tries to convince him to find a real woman. However, I don't know what's going on, why their society is like, they have very few women actually. I don't know exactly, but it's like they go to this bar, it's mainly all men. There's a few women there, and they're almost prostituting themselves to get picked up. They have these little screens where they're like, oh, this is who I was with last time, blah blah blah. And then there's this person, I'm really good. You won't be disappointed if you go out on a date with me. I might just give you sex. And then they have these attorneys that follow them around and write out contracts for men to take them out on dates and maybe possibly get sex from them. And I'm just like, it's fucking weird. What the hell? Anyways, but that's what's going on in the main cities, and everything's nice looking in the cities too. However, he goes to the outskirts, which is outside of the cities, which is, kind of lawlessness shit. So he brings weapons with him because he knows he's going to need to defend himself. And then, they're just outside of what's called the forbidden zones, the zones where the trackers go into, where, some crazy person rules particular zones. One of these zones is Zone 7, where you have this guy named Leslie, played by Tom Thompson, and he rules this zone. And all his guys wear Hawaiian shirts and Congo hats. It's kind of dumb. But anyways, they got to go into his territory and fetch the Cherry android, a new body. Now, he's actually looking for this guy named Six Finger Jake, which he does find later on, but he doesn't find him in the town. It's like a western town almost. Anyways, he ends up finding Melanie Griffith's character, which is like E. Johnson or some shit like that. He goes with her and her souped up vehicle into the Forbidden Zone, because she begs him to go with him because she needs a sidekick, someone to shoot while she drives. And he's all like, wait a minute, I don't need to go with you. I pay you, you fetch. That's the deal. And she goes, I can't go in there by myself, blah, blah, blah. So he ends up like a dumbass. He goes with her because some guys are chasing him because they find out he's got a cherry chip on him. You know, the chip that goes into the android for the personality. So apparently this cherry 2000 android is a big commodity, very valuable because they don't make them anymore. They can't hardly find them anywhere. And they were like top of the art shit, blah blah blah, very sensitive, all that crap. So anyways, he takes off with her. They go into the Forbidden Zone or Zone 7, whatever. There's a redonkulous part in the movie. It's really cheesy, but really redonkulous, where there's a scene where they're by a dam. They're trying to cross this river, and Leslie's men are attacking him. She lets them put this magnet from a crane onto her car, and then lifts it up to turn it over and towards the river. They were going to dump her in the river. They're literally shooting bazooka rockets at them, like 30 of them, and they never hit him. I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then he's literally shooting all these guys with a submachine gun, and she fires off a couple of rockets from her own bazooka as well. She tells him to kill the crane operator. He does, and then the crane operator, you know, he hits a switch that moves him a little bit further past the river, and then he hits another switch when he finally dies, and it lowers them slowly into like this dam reservoir or some shit. It's like a tunnel that's part of the dam, and it only goes so far, and then they jump out of the car and slide the rest of the way into the river. And then Six Finger Jake, which you find out pretty quickly that's who that is, picks them up in like this boat. And then she says, we'll go pick up my car tomorrow night. You know, never go out in the daylight. There's some rule that you're too crazy to go out there in the daylight. People will kill you like a motherfucker if you do. So they stay at Six Finger Jake's, which is somewhere around the dam. He lives in some cave. He says he's retired. Now, she's only known him for like half a fucking day, and she's already in love with him. She's like jealous that he wants this robot or android, or, you know, he says, oh, you just want a machine, a sex robot, blah, 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 you know. Blah, you know, it makes no sense because she don't even really know him, but she's already in love with his ass. It's just, you know, the jealousy thing. It's just whatever. Anyway, it was dumb. Anyways, they eventually find the android. Leslie's trying to kill him. It looks like a Las Vegas abandoned building in Las Vegas or some shit. They find a plane. She's very masculine, Melanie Griffith's character. So she's the mechanic, and she fixes the plane, you know, and then they take off in it. They land in the Las Vegas area or whatever. Leslie follows him. Tries to kill him. They find the cherry amongst other androids, a whole slew of them. They're just like in this warehouse or whatever. He finds an exact copy of Pamela, and then fucking puts Cherry puts the disc in, and she's like dinging her in a dingbat. Thinks like they're on vacation or some shit. The whole time Leslie's guys are trying to kill him. They basically kill Leslie and some of his men, and then he has a choice of either taking the android or, you know, Melanie Griffith with him. So he dumps off the android and decides to take Melanie Griffith with him, and then, you know, falls in love with her, and then live happily ever after. They've only known each other for like 2 days by this point, towards the end of the movie. Literally. And they're already in love with each other. The android ends up staying with Leslie's group. And they fly off and live happily ever after. That's the end of the movie. There's a lot of good actors in this. Like I said, I don't understand why it didn't do so well. You know, Brian James, Tom Tomlinson, you know, Melanie Griffith, David Andrews, Pamela Gidley, there a lot of them. I didn't understand why it didn't do so well. But anyways, regardless of that, this movie wasn't bad, even though it had some redonkulous shit in it. Like it says, a little cheesy. You know, most of the 80s flicks were. It was still a good movie. I thought it was pretty decent. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Only because it had some redonkulous, like you're going, you know, the guy's shooting like 500 guys and not one bullet hits him. Like a Sylvester Stallone, Chuck Norris movie, you know, just come on. You know, but anyways, other than that, great movie. Like I said, we're not too far off from these sex androids or sex robots. They're coming. Gonna put all them OF girls out of business. I guarantee it. The sex industry is waiting for this shit. They want this shit bad. It's gonna make them billions. They're at a race to be the first one to do it too. Anyways, if you have any suggestions, or you could think of any underrated, you know, B movies that you think I've never even heard of before, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below. I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. If you have any thoughts about what I talked about earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. So, with that being said, that's all I have for you this week. But coming this next month, next week is Horror Week. Every year I usually do a series of horror flicks for the month of October. I usually pick a B-rated franchise or something like that. I try to stay away from the popular ones, but I'm going to do a popular one this time. I'm going to do the Nightmare on Elm Street series for the Halloween marathon this coming month. So all this coming month will be a bunch of Freddy stuff. So anyways, that's all I have for you this week. Until next time, I told you be told the truth, and you just been told.